Hey guys, welcome. And today I want to make a video on how to not spiritual bypass your emotions. And it's quite simple. It's kind of simple. It's quite simple, pretty much. We just have to be aware of a process that goes on, which usually happens when we experience strong negative emotions. Particularly, it doesn't matter. Particularly if you watch lots of spiritual videos, particularly videos on non-duality and the idea that everything is one and all those concepts, what your mind might do when negative emotions arise is we start to fall back. We start to just repeat stuff we've heard. Like it's all good, everything's one. Like, this is stuff just floating through. It doesn't really, I'm not these emotions. And what we try to do is we try to detach ourselves from the negative emotion and try to almost say it's illusory, it doesn't really exist. And we sort of just tell ourselves these things. It's like, everything's fine, it's all one, man. Like, and we just sort of sit there and we don't, sometimes we don't even realize we're doing this because it's so subtle, but what we're doing is we're bypassing our negative emotions, trying to get it away with spiritual realizations. Now, if there's negative emotions rising up or coming up, that doesn't mean you can just shoo them away with spiritual sort of philosophy. Because the fact they're coming up in the first place means the philosophy you're telling yourself isn't completely true to you. If you really were embodied in everything being at one and flow and emptiness, and you're really embodied in all that stuff, the emotion probably wouldn't arise. Depending, sometimes we're human, we can't help it. Negative things arise. But if you've got to tell yourself stuff mentally to try to shoo emotions away, you've already, like, it's too late for that stuff. And what we have to do is actually be very human and feel what's coming up, and really, not just really feel it, really just let it overtake us, become one with the negative emotion, and let it process through the body. Because we might have done this before spirituality. Like, there's lots of sayings like, we might just say, it's like, oh, it's all good, man, everything happens for a reason, or it is what it is, shit happens, like sayings like that. We might, and that idea just carries on to our spiritual journey. We just start replacing, like, oh, it is what it is, with like spiritual philosophy. Oh, it's all one, it's all good, that sort of stuff. So it's important when negative emotions arise to not try flush them off away, and not try just attack them with spiritual philosophy. It's where a lot of people go wrong in spirituality, and how a lot of people repress a lot of things and not deal with stuff that actually need to deal with, because we are having a human experience at the end of the day. So it's always important to feel the emotions, and that's through step one, ground ourselves into the body. Step two, don't listen to the mind, and listen to the body, listen to the emotion. And sometimes you don't even need to bring the story that's coming up with the emotion, because we can get lost in thinking and trying to work out what's going on. What's going on is there's just a sensation, an emotion arising. It's been caused by some event, and it just wants to be felt and experienced, and needs to. We shove it away, and we lose touch with our body. We live up in our head. And this is part of spiritual awakening, which isn't talked so much about in the non-dual community. It's more focused on just the philosophical aspect, or the pointing to oneness, but once we're pointed to oneness and once we're in presence, we start to crack open. Everything, our whole system just starts to open up, and everything we've been repressing, or everything we've been repressing starts bubbling up to the surface. And we try to stuff it all back down, and it's like, no, we gotta feel everything we've been running from for our whole lives or lifetimes. And that's the awakening process. Is a lot of it is feeling. A lot of it is, once you've had an initial awakening, is coming to the body and just processing. It's like a big cleanse, big purification of negative emotions. And it's not always like that. There's times of peace and love, and it's definitely there's still always an aspect of peace to whatever's going on. But yeah, sometimes it can get a little hectic. Sometimes even life will manifest external circumstances to shake up and bring out repressed emotions. People will talk about a dark night of the soul, which is common when you're having a spiritual awakening, for life to just sort of crumble in front of you, but it's just showing us our shadow and what needs to be seen, what emotions need to be felt and fully felt, and become one with the emotions, and just, be with them fully. And a lot of us have never done that. A lot of us have lived in a numbed out state. I'm talking from experience. I used to live in a very numb state, which I thought was peace, until I've found spirituality, and I still carried that numb state with me into spirituality, and found just a nicer state of that. It wasn't numb, but it was not. It was like equanimity or something. It was still nice, but eventually I realized I wasn't as at peace as I had thought I was. One day I realized that, and that's when I realized that my whole life I'd been repressing emotions, and I realized I had to come into the body and feel everything that I've been avoiding. And that's when aliveness starts to come into your experience of awakening. So you're awakening, you've got this expanded awareness, consciousness, but if the human body's, so it's like almost like, if you like chakras as an example, you can have your crown chakra wide open. That's what non-duality can do to you, and you can be in this state, and it can be nice for a bit, but eventually, if the rest of your chakras or your body is just blocked up with repressed emotions, eventually that starts to dim back down, and we might be aware of this thing, but we're not fully alive and at peace with it, and that's what we come into the body. That's it, just breathing. I've got a video on the body. I'll probably make another one on just how important it is to come to the body, because that's where all our repressed emotions start. And I know in spirituality they say you're not the body, you're not the mind, and that is ultimately true. But there is no you. There's no you. But there is a bodily experience happening, and this body has a lot of never learned how to process what's going on. As humans, our mind has muddled up the process between body. You'll notice animals, you see them, they'll get into a fight with another animal, or something will happen, and they shake their body out, and they do something like that. It's like, it's their way of releasing. We as humans, because of our minds, we hold on to things, and someone does us wrong, and we start thinking about it and repressing the emotion, and complicating things and thinking. It's just, things need to be felt in life. You got to feel to heal. And sometimes it's hard when we've learnt all this stuff about spirituality and being one with the universe to set that aside and come back to being human. It's like this weird journey of human to expandedness, oneness, and then we've got to come back down and attack being human. But it's nicer because we do know ultimately everything is fine. But at the same time, yeah. And it actually, because of becoming aware of this stuff, we're actually able to resolve emotions. You know, when we're in just, I don't know, egoic state, and we're not aware of oneness and whatever you want to call it, the infinite, we usually tend to recreate more problems so we can heal from things and then create the same problem again. But once up here is opened up and we're aware and there's a background of peace, we can get rid of problems without usually creating more again. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one.